Hey everyone, Dave here with another Blu-ray DVD collection update / haul video. This is the fourth video for the month of August 2022. And in this one, we're going to be taking a look at a bunch of new releases from both kicks.com.au and Random Space Media, as well as some personal pickups that I've grabbed for myself over the last month or so. There's quite a bit to take a look at here, so let's get into it. So as I said in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some recent releases from kicks.com.au and Random Space Media. I know this month I said I was going to be doing this experiment sort of thing where I was uploading individual videos for each individual distributor out there, but I kind of feel like Kicks and Random Space Media are both fairly interchangeable, particularly because of their major studio releases that they are getting out there. I feel like these kind of fit and work together in a video, as well as like my personal pickups I think go together here as well too. Firstly, we're going to kick this video off by taking a look at the new releases from kicks.com.au. Once again, you can head over to their website and use the code DAVE15 to get 15% off your entire order. That includes in-stock items, it includes pre-order items, it also includes sale stock. You can use it on whatever you want, just load up on a bunch of stuff and use DAVE15 and get 15% off your entire order. Once again, this is not an affiliate code. I don't get anything from this. This is just my way to give back to my audience out there and get a little bit of savings on some great new titles. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up, we have got the 4K release of The Lost City, starring Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. After being kidnapped by a villainous treasure hunter, a successful romance novelist is forced to team up with her cover model as they are swept into a cutthroat jungle adventure that proves stranger than fiction. This set comes as a 2-disc collection, presenting the movie on both 4K disc and Blu-ray disc. We don't really get that many great rom-coms anymore. In fact, they don't really seem to make rom-coms at all anymore. Netflix seems to pump out a lot of them. They're not really very good at all. Every now and then you get a decent one. But as far as like big blockbuster Hollywood rom-coms, they've just kind of become a dying art. You all know that I love my rom-coms, I love my action comedies, I love my buddy pictures. This movie was made for me. I absolutely loved it. Sandra Bullock is one of my favorite stars of the rom-com genre. She did so many great movies that I grew up with, you know, throughout the 1990s and the 2000s. And Channing Tatum I always think is a lot of fun too. Brad Pitt is in this movie too. He's got this fun little part in this here. And this is just like a return to the really great action comedy rom-com that we don't seem to really get anymore. Of course, the easy comparisons are movies like Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile, and I feel like it really does fit in with that genre and in with those movies so well. I had so much fun with this at the cinemas when it first came out, and diving back into it on home media. This is an absolutely gorgeous looking movie, and thanks to the 4K disc, we can really get to experience this in all of its glory. It's got a really beautiful HDR pass, which helps these colors in this movie just burst. This is such a colorful movie. You know, they're in the heart of the jungle, so many exotic plants around, and it just, the whole movie is just so, you know, there's explosions and stuff too, which really just look fantastic with an HDR pass. Texturally, this is really beautiful too. This is such a crisp looking 4K disc, and it is miles above the Blu-ray. I took a look at both of them kind of back to back, and yeah, colors are so much better here, and even textures and just all of that just looks so much better on this 4K release. So if you want to check this movie out, this is absolutely the way to go. I think it's probably one of the best contemporary 4Ks I've seen in quite a while, and it's a big surprise because this is just like a rom-com film. I had so much fun with this, and I think it's one that I'm going to revisit multiple times. Next up is the 4K release of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. After settling in Green Hills, Sonic is ready for more freedom, and Tom and Maddie agree to leave him home while they go on vacation. But no sooner are they gone when Dr. Robotnik comes back, this time with a new partner, Knuckles, in search for an emerald that has the power to both build and destroy civilizations. Sonic teams up with his own sidekick Tails, and together they embark on a journey to find the emerald before it falls into the wrong hands. This set likewise comes as a 2-disc collection, presenting the movie on both 4K and Blu-ray. These Sonic movies have been such a huge surprise. I mean, I think everyone has seen these by now, but you know, video game movies don't always work out the best, but these two are just so great. I really love Sonic 2. I think it was as good, if not better, than the first movie. I had a lot of fun with this, particularly when you've got characters like Knuckles and Tails coming into it. When I was young and I used to play Sonic, I think it was Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or 3 that I was playing when I was a child. You know, my favorite character to play with was Tails. So really cool to get Tails into the Sonic universe here. So I had a lot of fun with this one, and it's really great to get it in my collection as well, and on 4K. I don't think I have the first Sonic movie on 4K. I think I only have it on Blu-ray because they only released like a small batch of it in 4K initially. It was really hard to get my hands on that edition of the movie, so I just stuck with the Blu-ray. But I think I will be trying to hunt down a 4K copy of that because this one looks gorgeous on the 4K format. This is such a colorful movie. Again, you've got the blues, you've got reds, you've got yellows of the characters, and this really makes up kind of the color palette of the film, and it's these really bright and shiny colors that are done absolute wonders by the HDR pass. There is so much clarity to this movie as well, not just in the animated characters, but in the live action elements too. You know, textures on faces and, you know, human elements and backdrops and locations and stuff just hold up looking really good. Again, compared this one to the Blu-ray, and the 4K just completely blows it out of the water. So if you're looking to get your hands on Sonic 2, this is absolutely the way to go. Next up, we've got the Blu-ray release of Firestarter. A girl with extraordinary pyrotechnic powers fights to protect her family and herself from sinister forces that seek to capture and control her. The film stars Zac Efron, Sydney Lemon, and Ryan Kira Armstrong. Despite being labelled as a collector's edition, this set only comes with a single Blu-ray disc. Firestarter is of course the latest in a very long line of Stephen King adaptations. It is the second adaptation of Firestarter. There was one back in the 1980s with Drew Barrymore when she was a child, one of her earliest films. That's a pretty decent movie. It's very dated by today's standards though, so it's definitely a story that has deserved a kind of a modern reboot. The good thing about this one is that it kind of takes a new direction. It puts a bit of a more contemporary spin on it, and I think it does the story a little bit more justice. The original novel is not Stephen King's best work by any stretch. I think this movie does a pretty good job at doing a fairly accurate and respectful to source adaptation. That said, it's not really a great movie. This is a movie that I really liked all that much. It's very slow, it's a little bit melodramatic. The acting in here is not great. Ryan Kira Armstrong, the young girl at the forefront of this movie, is terrific. She delivers a really great performance, but sort of everyone around her is just kind of getting in there and doing their thing and getting their paycheck and but everyone else in there really isn't at the height of their game, particularly as this one was produced by Jason Blum and Blumhouse. I really was expecting a bit more from this, but unfortunately it is a little bit of a stinker. That said, if you do like the movie and you want to get your hands on it physically, I'm happy to have it in my collection. This Blu-ray pulls up looking very nice. Of course, there's lots of great sequences with pyrotechnics, fire, really explosive stuff. These pull up looking really beautiful on Blu-ray. I think they would have pulled up looking even better on 4K. I could just imagine how punchy this would look with an HDR pass. Unfortunately, there has been no 4K release of this, I think, anywhere. I'm guessing that is because the movie was not very well received and it didn't do very well at the box office. In fact, in America, this went direct to Peacock. But at that, the Blu-ray does look nice, and if you want to get your hands on this movie, you won't be disappointed with it. And finally from Kix, we have got Operation Mincemeat. During World War II, two intelligence officers use a corpse and false papers to outwit German troops. It stars Colin Firth, Kelly MacDonald, Matthew Macfadyen, Penelope Wilton, and Jason Isaacs. This one likewise comes as a single-disc release. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to check out Operation Mincemeat. This is a movie that I've been really looking forward to. I love these little, smaller, kind of independent British movies, these dramatic kind of British films. I love war films as well, particularly these ones that are kind of maybe set a little bit off the battlefield, one that focus on kind of spies and the kind of the rumblings that were going on behind the scenes during the war. I just think it's such a fascinating thing. This is a movie that I'm really looking forward to checking out, and by by all accounts, it's a very, very good movie from everything that I've heard and I've read about it. I did get a chance to pop the disc in and take a look at it though, and this is a really beautiful Blu-ray transfer. I believe this movie was shot digitally on 4.5K and given a 4K digital intermediate, so it is a little bit of a shame that this one didn't receive a 4K disc, but it is so often the case with movies like this that they don't get, you know, these smaller kind of more independent movies, sort of dramatic films don't get that 4K release because they just kind of assume that they won't sell. But also on the other hand, some movies like this don't even get Blu-ray releases, so we've got to count ourselves lucky that we did get a Blu-ray release for this one. And again, this looks really nice on HD. It's a pretty stock standard Blu-ray release, but because this has been shot digitally, this comes up looking very, very, very nice on HD. It's crisp, it's clear. There's not a lot of colors in here, but where there are colors, they just look really nice. There's a lot of great shadows and stuff in here too, which just look great. It's a really visually striking film, and there are a few moments on the battlefield from what I've seen skipping through that look terrific as well. You know, nighttime battle sequences that look great. I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. I can't recommend from personal experience the movie itself, but it looks beautiful, and if you want to check this movie out, I think this is a really great way to do so. So that is all the releases from kicks.com.au that we're going to be covering in this video. Once again, if you want to head over there and pick up anything that I've spotlit in this video, or absolutely anything available on their website at all, head over to kicks.com.au and use the code DAVE15 at checkout to get 15% off your entire order. Next up, let's take a look at the latest releases from Random Space Media. Once again, Random Space are a really fantastic boutique arm who are working directly with studios to get titles out onto the market that wouldn't normally get a wide release. Let's take a look. There's some really exciting stuff here. First up, of course, is the long-awaited Spider-Man No Way Home in 3D. Of course, we all know Spider-Man No Way Home. It's the latest Spider-Man installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where Spider-Man teams up with Doctor Strange to solve an issue that's happening in the multiverse. It explodes, and then all the other Spider-Man and villains from the other film franchises drop on in. This edition comes as a 2-disc set, including the 3D version of the movie, which is exclusive to this set, and the standard Blu-ray disc, which is exactly the same that you would get if you bought the standard edition of the film. Alright, I'm not going to spend too much time rambling on about Spider-Man No Way Home. It's been out a year now. Everyone knows how good this movie is. It's so much fun. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, just because it's got so much nostalgia bundled into it. Actually, Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man with Tobey, will always have my heart. But this is such a fun Spidey adventure, a fun MCU adventure, and I'm so excited to get this on 3D. I can't believe it. Disney, of course, dropped out of the 3D market a long time ago. Sony, who distribute the Spider-Man movies, dropped out of 3D a little while ago as well. The first 2 Spider-Man movies were released on 3D on Blu-ray, and I think Spider-Man Far From Home was the last Disney movie, or the last Disney MCU movie at least, to get a Blu-ray 3D release in European Western side of the world anyway, because I know there's a distributor in Asia that's putting out a lot of the Marvel movies in 3D. I'd love to see more of these Marvel movies getting 3D releases. I don't know, Random Space Media, if you've got that kind of kinship with Disney where you can get a lot more of those out, but it's great particularly to get Spider-Man No Way Home anyways. That's a really nice start. Obviously through their partnership with Sony, they have been able to get this one out. And man, this movie is an absolute looker in 3D, just as all the Spider-Man movies are. You know, you've got Spider-Man swinging out at you, throwing webs at the screen, and just so many great, explosive, big action set pieces that look so good in the third dimension. There's so many 3D purists like myself out there who love to experience the movies in this way. I didn't get a chance to see it at the cinema in 3D because there were very limited screenings at my local cinema, so I didn't get a chance to see it. So it's really great to get it on Blu-ray and experience this movie, I think, in the way that it was probably intended to be seen. It's a really great release, and if you want more of these on the market, you've got to support this release and show Random Space Media that we want more. We want more. We want more. Please, Random Space. Next up, we have got a Jurassic World 2-movie collection, which collects both Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in both 4K, Blu-ray 3D, and Blu-ray. This is a really great set that comes with 6 discs. Of course, that's 3 discs for each of the first 2 Jurassic World movies. Of course, we've got Jurassic World Dominion coming out on home media within the coming weeks. By the time I get this video out there, it might actually be out already. So this is a really great time to get the first 2 Jurassic World movies on home media if you don't own them already. And this is just a terrific way to own them. Random Space Media are so good at putting together these kind of ultimate collections that we would not normally see on the shelves. This one, of course, it bundles the 4K, it bundles the 3D, it bundles the Blu-ray, so you get the best of absolutely all worlds. Of course, with Random Space Media, they do often do these box sets and they reissue them by adding another film onto them. So if you didn't just want these first 2 movies, you wanted the 3 of them, I imagine they might put out a box set with all 3 at some point. I don't have any inside intel on that. That's just kind of what I'm assuming. But for now anyway, I think this is a really great way to get the first 2 movies, particularly on all the formats. I previously owned Jurassic World on 4K, Blu-ray, and 3D, but I only owned Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, I think, on 4K and Blu-ray. So this has been a great way to get the 3D a version of that into my collection, which I think has been out of print for a while. I think the 3Ds of both of them have been out of print for a while, so this is a terrific way to get both of these movies on that format and in all the formats. Again, wanted to spotlight this terrific little collection from Random Space right here. And finally, from Random Space Media, we have got the complete series of Caprica. The Battlestar Galactica phenomenon continues, with this undeniably compelling look at where the real conflict between humans and the Cylons began, in a vibrant world remarkably like our own, Caprica. Alright, so Caprica is of course the prequel series to Battlestar Galactica. It's set something like 60 years in the past before the Battlestar Galactica series. It's a spin-off of the more modern, contemporary Battlestar Galactica series that I guess it was probably like 20 or so years ago, like 15, 20 years ago. This is the first time this series has been released individually on Blu-ray in Australia anyway. I think there might have been some individual releases throughout Europe, but this is the first kind of Western world individual release of Caprica on Blu-ray. So if you're a fan of this and you wanted to get this on Blu-ray, great way to get it. This has been included, however, in Battlestar Galactica box sets in the past, sort of everywhere around the world. In fact, Random Space Media put out like a deluxe collector's edition of everything Battlestar Galactica you could ever imagine. And this was used as a selling point for that box set for being like the exclusive way to own Caprica. But now they finally got it out there on the market, because I know there were a lot of people who probably owned all the other Battlestar Galactica stuff on Blu-ray and just needed this. Now you've got the chance to get this on Blu-ray. I haven't had a chance to check it out myself. I haven't really gotten into Battlestar Galactica, but one day I would like to take a look at these series. But yeah, for those of you who are fans, you can definitely get it. It's out there on the market now. If anyone out there in America or the UK wants an individual version of this, you can get it now too. You can import it from Random Space. And that is all the titles that have been sent in to me from Random Space Media. Thanks again for sending all of those in. So now let's take a look at some personal pickups that I've grabbed for myself over the last month or so. Firstly, let's take a look at a couple of titles that I picked up at JB Hi-Fi during a recent sale. Recently, JB Hi-Fi had a buy 2 get 1 free sale across all television series, and to coincide with that, there was also a 20% off sale. So I took the chance to finally pick up the 3 revival series of Will and Grace. Absolutely love this show. Haven't had a chance to check out the revival just yet, and realized just recently that they were all released on DVD, and I had to buy them to get them into my collection. Again, with the buy 2 get 1 free and the 20% off on top of it, I think these came to about like $12 each, which I think was a really good price. We've also got a single title here that I bought through the Amazon Australia Global Store, imported from Amazon UK. It's the Blu-ray release of 8th Grade. This is a movie about an introverted teenage girl that tries to survive the last week of her disastrous 8th grade year. It stars Elsie Fisher in the lead role, and it is directed by Bo Burnham. Don't know too much about this movie, but I have heard nothing but great things about it. It is, of course, an A24 release, which usually signifies that it's going to be a very, very, very good movie. So I'm very excited to check this out. I love a good coming-of-age drama, comedy kind of film, and yeah, I'm really really excited to take a look at this. I've had my eye on this one for quite a while. It's usually about $25, $30, but it dropped down, I think, to about $14, and I had to swoop it up. Next up, we've got a bunch of titles that I've imported from the Amazon Australia Global Store from Amazon US. Now, these are all installments from the Warner Archive collection. I've been buying these all up over the last maybe 3 or 4 months. Of course, the official Warner Archive store shut down about a year ago now, and Amazon has sort of become one of the official storefronts of the Warner Archive collection, and you can get some really, really great deals on Warner Archive discs on the Amazon Australia Global Store. And I'm talking, some of these discs usually are about $35, $40 retail price, and when you get them on special, they sometimes come down to about as low as $11, $15, $19, $20 I've spent on most of these ones here. I absolutely love the Warner Archive collection. If you don't know much about them, they are a boutique division within Warner Brothers. They are completely separate to Warner Home Video. They do their own thing. They're allowed to do their own thing. They handle all these restorations themselves. Most of them are done 4K restorations of classic films that otherwise wouldn't have been put out there by the studio arm. They have a fantastic back catalogue of titles that have just been really hard to import or too expensive to get my hands on too. I used to import them from Amazon.com when I was buying through, when you could buy through there, and most of the time they were just very expensive. I think Wow HD, I bought a few at maybe $20, $21 at one point, but they just became unviable options to import them. So now the Amazon Global Store is a really great place to get them, and every month they have a selection of titles, or maybe every 3 months or 3 weeks or so, they have a new selection of titles that are on special. The best way to find these is to go to amazon.com.au, you type in Warner Archive Collection Blu-ray, and then you filter it by today's deals, and all of the ones that are on special show up. So over the last few months, I have been buying up a whole bunch of these. Let's take a look at the ones that I've picked up. Some Came Running, starring Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Shirley MacLaine. Huge fan of Sinatra and Martin, so very excited to have a look at this one. Gold Diggers of 1933. This is a Busby Berkeley, big, overblown, musical dance feature. These movies are so great. I have not seen this one, but I'm very, very excited to have a look at it. I got Objective Burma, which is an Errol Flynn war movie. Flynn didn't do a lot of war movies. He did a lot of like swashbuckling action adventure films, so I'm particularly keen to kind of see this as a bit of a curio. We got another Errol Flynn movie here called Edge of Darkness, which is like a 1940s sort of noir spy thriller war film. Again, Errol Flynn did not do a lot of movies like this, so I'm really keen to see how this one shapes up. We've got Fury, starring Spencer Tracy and Sylvia Sidney. I haven't really watched too many Spencer Tracy movies, but I'd really like to take a look at some of them, so I was really excited to pick this one up. Also got Dinner at 8, which is another very elaborate movie from the early 1930s. This is a pre-code comedy movie, so it's got a lot of really great risque humor and stuff in there. It's got a star-studded cast. I love, love, love these like pre-code movies from this era. They're also fun, so very happy to get that one. Got one called The Party Girl. Don't know a lot about this one at all. Robert Taylor, Sid Charisse, Lee J. Cobb, 3 actors whose work I had not seen a lot of, but this one was like $15. So I was very happy to pick that one up and check it out. We've got Angels with Dirty Faces, which is one of my favorite film noirs of all time. James Cagney, Pat O'Brien, and a very early appearance of Humphrey Bogart. Love this movie, and I'm very keen to see how that has scrubbed up on Blu-ray. We've got Lullaby of Broadway, starring Doris Day and Gene Nelson. Not usually a huge fan of Doris Day, particularly her musical stuff, and I'm not usually huge on these kinds of musicals, but again, this one was only $15. And it really is hard for me to pass up a Warner Archive Collection disc for that price, because these discs are all absolutely stellar. We've got Captains of the Clouds, which is a Technicolor war film starring James Cagney. Love James Cagney. He's one who didn't do a lot of war films, so I'm really keen to see how this one turns up. We have got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, starring Spencer Tracy, Ingrid Bergman, and Lana Turner. This is the 1941 version of the movie. It was a remake of a 1931 version of the movie. I haven't seen either of them, but I love these great gothic horror films and these stories. I have read the book, which I really loved. We've got The Wonderful World of the Brothers Grimm. This is a movie that was shot in Cinerama, presented in Cinerama, and is apparently one of the most elaborate Cinerama movies ever. This is a movie that has been released on physical media previously, but apparently the previous transfers have been absolutely awful. I think I paid $30 for this one, but I was happy to pay the price for this movie, particularly because this new master just sounds really, really wonderful. Also picked up A Star Is Born. This is the 1937 version. So now I have all the versions of A Star Is Born on Blu-ray. I did have an original DVD of this, but this is a movie that went into public domain and was issued on these really, really trashy DVDs over the years from, you know, really cheap, low budget distributors. So I'm really happy to finally have a properly remastered version of this from the Warner Archive collection. I've also got one here called Ivanhoe. It stars Robert Taylor, Elizabeth Taylor, Joanne Fontaine, and many, many others. This is like a medieval swashbuckling kind of action adventure film. I love these big, elaborate kind of epics. This is one I've never seen. It's one I've never really even heard of, but for the price, again, was about $15. I had to grab this one. Also got Ziegfeld Girl, starring Judy Garland and James Stewart, two of my all-time favorites. Also got Lana Turner and Hedy Lamarr in there too. This is kind of like, I guess, a romantic musical film. I adore Judy Garland, I love Jimmy Stewart, so I'm really excited to see this. This is actually a fairly recent release. I think I picked this up for about $21. And finally, I also got my hands on National Velvet, starring Mickey Rooney and Elizabeth Taylor. This is kind of like a family movie about a girl and her horse. Not really something I'm really that interested in, but I do like Mickey Rooney, and I am a fan of Elizabeth Taylor's earlier movies. So again, for $15, it was a Warner Archive movie I just had to pick up. So those are all the Warner Archive titles I picked up through the Amazon Australia Global store recently. There is a website called Movie Zing, which I believe is run by the company that presses the discs for Warner Archive, because they are made on demand press discs. They are also kind of an official storefront for the Warner Archive collection. Occasionally they do a sale, which is like buy 3 for $49 US or something like that, and they come to about $20 Australian, including all the postage and the removal of the GST and all that stuff. So they come to about $20 each. They did a big sale recently, and I absolutely stocked up. I think I got like 35 titles or something. Still waiting for those to arrive though. I will cover those in another video somewhere down the line. I'm so excited to get them. I basically cleared off this entire like list of discs that I've wanted to get from Warner Archive, and I feel like I've kind of pretty much caught up now on what I want, particularly the back catalog stuff anyway. With that though, that brings us to the end of this video right here. Thanks again to Kicks.com.au and Random Space Media for sending in discs for me to take a look at. Thanks for everybody out there for tuning in once again to listen to me sit here rambling about movies. I'll see you again in about a month's time with another slate of review videos, which I can't wait to get into. Thanks again, everyone. Until next time, take care. I'll see you later. Yeah.